Hello and welcome to Take It to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I am your host at JP Job Hospital, two-man power trip of wrestling. Of course, joining me is the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, now a Hall of Famer, Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great today, John. How are you doing today?
Doing very good. Congratulations on the Thez Hall of Fame, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, how did that come about? That's awesome.
Jerry Briscoe called me one day and said, "Hey, we're doing this new award, not the Vern
Vern
Gagne.
Gagne, trainer. Yep.
They're renaming the Trainers Award." And he said, "We'd like you to be the first one to have it." And I said, "Well, that's awesome." So yeah, that's how that came about. Jerry called me and said, somebody, I guess he nominated me, and they all were in agreement. And so we'll be doing it July 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Where is that exactly?
Waterloo, Iowa,
Nice.
the
The
thriving
Tragos and Thez
metropolis.
Hall of Fame.
Yes, George Tragos Luthes.
Love
So
that.
I think it's very cool.
Ibsen, Hall of Famer. Congratulations. Nice.
Well, thank you, Ibsen.
Mike says happy hump day.
It is a happy hump day,
Hello to Jason.
Jason.
Mitch. Love that cowboy hat, Mitch.
Yeah.
Scorch, Dr. Tom has definitely left his mark in the business. He's well deserving of this award.
Well, thank you, Scorch.
Congratulations, Dr. Tom, there. Nice.
Thank you, Jason.
Will Jerry induct you? I don't think he means who we were talking about before. I think he means Jerry Briscoe.
No, I think it's going to be Greg Gagne. I think Greg is going to be
Oh,
there, so Greg should probably do that.
yeah, his dad's award. That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah,
that. Nice.
very cool.
Now, where do you rank yourself amongst some of the greatest trainers of all time? I mean, do you say better, probably better than Vern or better than Stu Hart? Where do you rank yourself?
I don't rank myself, John.
Oh,
I pretty much rate myself.
yes, but
Yes, I
if you look
rate
at it,
myself.
number one star of all time, you trained him.
Mm-hmm.
Olympic gold medalist trained him. Many-time Hall of Famer Mark Henry
Mm-hmm.
trained him. So you got to rank up there pretty high, as far as getting the award and getting some accolades and the honor.
Well, yeah, I think that's pretty awesome, man. But I don't know where I'd rank myself at. So I know there's a lot of trainers out there, pal. I don't know how many trainers there are, but there's a lot.
I feel like almost too many right now.
Maybe so. Maybe some guys who need to be trained themselves.
Will Jim Cornette be there?
I doubt that highly. Jimmy ain't leaving his house.
Did you see on his website? Did you see he's got the heavenly body figures up there?
Yeah, yeah, he told me about that.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so we got if you want to go to it's jimcornette.com. He's got the Heavenly Bodies. He's got the Midnight Express. So if you're an old school fan of the Heavenly Bodies, go to Jim Cornette. I think there's only 500 uh, gimmicks that he's made. So once they're gone, they're gone.
Is he selling the heavenly bodies picture separately, or is that you have to buy the figure to get the picture?
I think you have to buy the figure to get the picture.
Love
That's
that
what I think.
picture. You
Yeah.
standing him. That's awesome. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Corny's Collectibles. Good stuff. Any more news on Vince making a new wrestling company from Craig W. with an awesome Thundercats logo?
I didn't know there was any news at all.
There was a rumor that was floated out there that, hey, since he's got all this money and he can't get back in with WB and TKO, he might be starting his own company. I don't know about that. What about you?
Yeah,
What do you think?
I don't think that would be happening.
Think he's too old?
No, I don't think he wants to deal with it.
Too much
I
trouble?
mean, well, you have all the top talent in WWE. Where's he going to get his talent?
Right. Yep.
So I don't know.
You know what's funny? I saw Meltzer and a bunch of other people complaining because Bruce made a comment about Vince and how he doesn't want to talk about it, basically, or that
Yeah.
he technically works for WWE, technically works for the company. There's a lawsuit and all this other stuff going on. So not only does he not want to talk about it, he really can't talk about it. And people were saying, including Meltzer, were saying, "Oh, you got to give a better answer than that." Do you think that's a little like why is somebody else telling him what kind of answer he can and can't give when I'm sure he has a lawyer telling him you can't say anything?
Well, why would he want to say anything? I mean, this is all happening right now, and you know, what is he going to say?
Right. I don't know. I just
So,
find that odd that people is like, oh, he should be saying something better answer.
well,
Like,
people always have their opinion on what they think is better for somebody else. So I think that's what's wrong with the world today is everybody else knows what's good for everybody else, but they don't know what's good for themselves. So
I almost think that Bruce should have gave it even shorter of an answer, but he should have just said no comment, and then that would have been the end of it. You know what I mean? But then people would have
what are you
complained
going to
about
do?
that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
of course. You're going to have somebody bitching about something.
Mitch says you are definitely on the Mount Rushmore of trainers.
Well, if there's a Mount Rushmore of trainers,
Think about it, Vern. Right? He's got to be up there. Brad Ringans, maybe. Right? I mean, he
yeah,
did a
Brad
lot of first, right?
Rennigan. Yeah.
Stu Hart, maybe number one.
Yeah. What about Eddie Sharkey?
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Eddie Sharkey definitely got to be up there. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. See, there's a lot of trainers out there. A lot of guys. Tony Santos trained guys years and years ago. Um, so yeah,
interestingly enough, we wanted to talk about Billy Jack Haynes because he was in the news and all this controversy. One of Stu Hart's students, he trained under Stu in Stampede in Calgary. So a little bit of synergy right there as far as Billy Jack and Stu Hart.
of course.
Magazine a Retriever. Hello, gentlemen. Before we get to Billy Jack Haynes' tragedy, I would like to hear your thoughts on Marty Jannetty requiring a foot amputation.
I didn't know Marty Jannetty was requiring a foot amputation. Is that true?
That's what he said on his. I don't know if it's a podcast or if he said it on an interview or something, but yeah, he had said he thinks he has to get his foot amputated because it got so bad.
Wow. Well, that's pretty heavy. I didn't. I had no clue. I feel bad
All
for
the
Marty.
best, yeah, all the best to Marty. Hopefully that's not
Yeah,
needed, but whew, damn, that's terrible.
that is terrible.
Ibsen throwing in their prayers up for the Super Bowl parade tragedy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just nuts.
What is wrong with people? I heard that this afternoon. I thought, man, that's just insanity again.
Man, you go there, your favorite team wins, everybody's excited, and this crap breaks out. Insane, horrible,
Yeah, yeah, it is terrible.
and shooting kids and stuff. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah, it's heavy.
He also throws in their best trainers: Stu Hart, number one; Dr. Tom, number two; Al Snow, number three; Prince Albert, number four; Mr. Hughes, number five.
See, there's even more trainers than we know. What about Rudy Boy Gonzalez, Jazz and Rodney in San Antonio? You know, there's
William Regal,
William Regal. Yeah.
a guy that I just talked to yesterday that mentioned you as being a great trainer. Ace Steele, another one.
Ace Steele's another one. Yeah. Yeah. How's Ace doing?
Doing very good. Yeah, he's down there in Orlando. He's actually has his own school called the Foundation of Wrestling. It's
Oh,
coming out
okay.
soon,
Well,
which is
good.
basically going to be very close to Performance Center. So people that aren't quite ready for the Performance Center should go to him, and then he gets them. I mean, it's so close, and
Yeah.
you should be living in that area anyway for smart. And then boom, go right to WWE. And he trains the PC. He knows what to look for.
I would think they would want people who want Ace at the Performance Center. I would think they would want that. And with Punk being there, I think that would
Yep.
happen, but you never know.
Here's another one, Larry Sharp, Monster
Yeah.
Factory here in South Jersey. Yep.
Yeah.
And apparently Marty said it in his weekly YouTube podcast that he required it.
Wow. Well, all my thoughts and prayers to Marty then.
Now, as far as Billy Jack Haynes and the news that came out about him, What did you think about that? I mean, just absolute shock, or I mean, just because that was crazy. It's like another bad headline for wrestling.
Well, a friend of mine had said that he saw the news story and said it looked like Billy Jack when they were pulling him out, and then sure enough, later on that night, it was confirmed. So yeah, it was a little shocking, but I guess his wife was 15 years or 10 years older than him.
Yep.
Maybe she was dealing with dementia. Maybe he thought he'd put her out of her misery or something. I don't know. Maybe it was a mercy killing. And honest to God, I don't know. The last time I talked to Billy Jack was at the ECW arena in Philly. And that was for an autograph session too. And he was just as calm, cool, and collected. And when I was talking to him, he seemed like he was ribbing everybody on those promos and saying stuff like that. He said, "You got to be outrageous," and he was outrageous. So I don't know. I don't know what drove him to this though. It had to be some kind of. I read where she had dementia or something like that. He might have just thought it'd be better to put her out of her misery. I don't know.
Absolutely crazy. Just that story and everything about it. I obviously will learn more, but there was a bit of a police standoff as well with him with that going on.
Well, maybe maybe he was wanting to. Who knows what was going on in his head? But he's gonna pay for it now, I guess. So nobody knows except him.
When that happens, obviously, it's a huge shock. It's absolutely um, insane that happened. But when you kind of look at his past and his history, he does have kind of like a little bit of a checkered past. You know what I mean? Like there's been a lot of different crazy stories about him throughout the years.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, you just don't know what's going to send somebody over the edge. So until I hear more, I'm gonna reserve my comments for that. It just Billy's what 70, 75, 74.
Something like that, yeah. In his
Yeah.
70s.
So who knows how he's been taking care of himself the last couple of years.
Scorch is saying Billy Jack Haynes was in the hospital recovering from broken ribs due to a fall. Then he checked himself out, excuse me, to be at home with his wife. Shortly thereafter, the tragedy occurred.
Well, again, who knows what was going on in his head? Maybe he felt like if he was in the hospital, nobody was there to take care of her, and maybe this is a way to. Man, I don't know. All this bad news going around, I don't know what to think.
Heard there was a death in the family to it, and that might have set him off as well. So I don't know somebody close to him.
Very
So
much, very well
interesting.
could have. You never know. What are you thinking?
Babs, aka Barb, she said, "Hi, Doc Tom. Glad to see you, or good to see you.
Well,
Sorry, I'm late."
Barbara, at least you're in.
Yes. And Ibsen saying, according to his next door neighbor during the morning hours before it happened, was talking to him about life on the road and seemed absolutely normal. Then in the afternoon, the incident happened.
Well, again, we don't know what changed between morning and afternoon. We just don't know. Don't know what's going on in his head. I mean, if he had to check himself out of the hospital, uh, man, I don't know what to say. I really don't.
Pretty crazy. Magazine is saying, I wonder if Billy Jack's broken ribs factor into him losing his cool with his wife, who had Alzheimer's. Billy was taken back to the hospital shortly after the cops arrived at his home.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been he was just in pain and tired of listening to it. Who knows? I mean, it's a tragedy either way.
It was a standoff for 2 hours with the police, and he gave up. During the interviews of the last 3 years, he just keeps faulting the business for losing his friends year after year.
Well, you can't blame the wrestling business. I mean, nobody forced us to get into it.
Mitch is saying the boys on the track story supposedly Billy Jack claimed involvement. Yeah, what do you think about that? How he says he was involved with that?
Remind me again of what the boys on the track story is.
Basically, I guess it's somewhat like if a somebody I guess was doing drugs or doing something illegal in Arkansas in 1987 on these tracks, and apparently the boys saw something they shouldn't have, and they get murdered on the tracks from whoever the you know evildoers where they were involved. He actually claimed at one point that the Clintons were involved as well. I don't know if that's true or false, but he was saying he was involved, so almost like incriminating himself.
Man, I don't. Again, I don't know what to think on that. I think Billy would say stuff to get attention,
Yep.
and that's kind of how I interpreted his promos and interviews in the last few years that I would see where he'd be uh, appearing out of his mind. So I don't know.
And when you saw him in Philly, was did he have like a weird haircut?
He had a wig.
That I was gonna say. That's what I thought it was a wig. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wig. It was a wig. He had the gray wig, and he even told me, he goes, "It's a wig," and he showed me, picked it up, and showed me. So, yeah,
Wow. Confirmed. Yeah. Wow.
yeah, confirmed. Just wanted me to know. So, yeah, but you know, I mean, no telling what path he took, and yeah, no telling what was going on with his wife. That just made him go nuts, made him snap.
Barbara saying he had a great gimmick in the '80s. Where could he have taken it? Seemed like he never hit his potential.
It seemed like everywhere Billy Jack went, he wasn't happy. He went to WWF, and he lasted what, 2 months, 3 months?
No, almost 2 years in
Oh,
WWF.
okay, 2 years. Okay,
Yep.
well, it wasn't that long comparatively, I guess. And he was back in Oregon.
Yep.
Um, he was in Florida for a couple, for a cup of coffee. He was in Dallas for a little bit. So everywhere he went, though, he seemed not to like it. He always wanted to come back home.
I was just talking to somebody earlier about it, and I was saying, man, he just seemed like he never hit his potential. Just he had the action figure, it looked like $1 million. He
Right.
could wrestle a little bit. He was pretty big as far as like WWF liking like a guy that's 6'4", 250, like that type, and he just never hit his potential. I don't think.
No, and that happened to a few people. But yeah, sometimes when you go someplace and you don't like it, you gotta give it a chance.
He also, if I remember the rumor correctly, also got in a fight with Jim Crockett Jr. Remember, he was in JCP for a cup of coffee, and
Right.
like almost got in a fight with Jim Crockett Jr. and then was gone.
Well, right. I'm sure he was unhappy about something and had to speak up, and that could have got him in hot water.
And when he was in WWF, it's not like they were jobbing him out. He really didn't do that many jobs. I was looking at like his basically his whole run, and he'll lose to Hercules and some other guys, and he'll go wrestle Hercules at WrestleMania 3, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and not lose. It was a double count out. So I mean, it's not like they jobbed him out or wasn't treating or weren't treating him well there.
No, but yeah, I think he probably in his mind felt he should have been better, or he wasn't feel like he was being treated fairly, I guess, and up and left. I know he was homesick uh, a couple times, so he wanted to come back to Oregon.
Would he have gone further being a heel versus the Von Erichs in world class championship wrestling?
I don't know because there were three Von Erichs, and he would have had to pick one of them. He was supposed to be taking Kerry's spot in Dallas because I thought Kerry was going to be doing a movie with Sylvester Stallone. So, they needed a baby face there, and he was the guy. But then Kerry didn't get the movie, and I guess he came back. And I don't know. I mean, we'll never find out. We'll never know.
Mitch is saying, claiming he worked as a bodyguard for the Clintons. Yeah, that's right. He was basically saying he worked for them.
Well, okay. I'm not sure if that was true or not. You interviewed him. What do you think?
I don't know. That one seemed a little bit off the mark. I wasn't buying that one.
Well, he might have, but I kind of doubt it too. I don't know if he would have made the background check.
Yeah, definitely. Dale is saying, Dr. Tom, what are your thoughts on Pacific Northwest wrestling in the early 80s when Billy Jack Haynes was in his prime?
I thought Pacific Northwest was great. And when Billy Jack came back, he was still a big star. But I think Portland and those towns did really good when Billy Jack was in his prime.
And even you were there at that point, and you even wrestled him in PNW, right? Back in 1984?
Did I
Or,
wrestle him?
or teamed with him?
Teamed with him, yeah. I think we teamed together a couple times. Maybe a 6-man Hack Sawyer, myself, and Billy Jack. So and I got to know him a little bit, and he was a different guy, but he was okay back
What do
then.
you think about him in ring?
In the ring, I thought he was pretty good. He was a lot better than most.
So there's one match I found online. It was Mike Miller, Mr. Ebony, and Rip Oliver versus Bobby Jaggers, yourself, and Billy Jack. So there's another tag, a 6-man tag you guys had.
Oh, okay, maybe so. Yeah.
Did you see Billy Jack being, maybe a bigger star, or like when he was in the Pacific Northwest? Did you see dollar signs with him?
Yeah, and if he would have stayed in WWE longer, I think he would have been a huge star. I really do.
When you look at Billy Jack Haynes and his run, it's very interesting. Like you said, like okay, he goes to Florida, not that long. World Class Championship Wrestling, not that long. JCP, not that long. Portland, back and forth. New Japan Pro Wrestling, kind of back and forth. Is that just? I don't know. Is that a real negative? Sometimes that could work out to your favor as far as some territory guys. But is that a real negative for somebody like that he wasn't able to kind of make a home?
I don't know about if it was about making a home, but it was about making relationships, and um, that's something I suffer from too. But Billy Jack, especially, had all the tools to make money and be a top draw. So learning how to play the game is still a big issue, an element to success. Understanding how to get along with people and uh, make money, I think was his big deal. I think wherever he went, there was something that probably irritated him, and he didn't mind saying something about it. So that's what I think.
Do you remember if he had any heat backstage with the boys?
Oh, I'm sure he did, but I don't know. I can't think of any specific reason or issue. But I'm sure a guy like that, especially who looked as good as he did, would be, and there'd be people who were jealous and envious and try to cut his legs out from under him too.
I asked Kevin Sullivan because I know he wrestled him a bunch in Florida. I said, "How was he?" He said, "Well, because faces and heels didn't really interact too much in Florida because of kayfabe in the early
Right,
'80s." But I said, "What about him and some of the other baby faces?" And he said he hung out by himself,
right, yeah, but yeah,
and
he very much a loner. So
I'm sure that didn't make everybody, didn't endear him to everybody. I should say.
right, yeah, that's what I mean. You have to make some kind of relationship, some kind of effort to know, and get along. So I'm sure it did. I'm sure there's some people who took his uh, wanting to be a loner as maybe a little standoffish, and didn't want to communicate and mix with the boys. So yeah, it could get you some heat.
Did you like his black blood gimmick that he did, the executioner gimmick that he did when he was in WCW? Him,
Um,
him under the hood.
yeah, not as much as I like the Billy Jack character, you know, but I understood why he was doing Black Blood.
Barbara is asking, please ask Dr. Tom if he knows of his fight with Barry Windham. He said Barry relieved himself in his hat and he took it very personally.
I don't know this. I've never heard this, so it's new to me.
Yeah, I guess I heard of a fight. I don't remember the specifics, but that's great as far as starting the fight. He pissed or shit in the guy's hat. Obviously, that's not gonna go over well.
Well, if he did that, then obviously he had heat. So that just tells you right there.
It does seem like there's a bunch of other stories. Like, remember years ago, he was blaming Stone Cold Steve Austin for the death of Roddy Piper, and he issued, I think it's got to be almost 9 or 10 years ago now. He issued an open challenge to Steve Austin, said he wanted to fight him because of it.
Yeah, I remember something like that. But I mean, Billy was seems like he was out of his mind back then. I mean, really, really out of his mind if he was being serious, unless he just trying to cause some attention or get some attention. Because I think Piper died of a heart attack in L.A., didn't he?
Hmm.
Yeah, so Steve had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, some of the
Right.
stuff he says is crazy. But hey, why not issue an open challenge to the most popular or maybe second most popular wrestler of all time? See how it goes.
It'll get some attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Billy wasn't completely stupid out of his mind, although at times he could be.
Now that concussion lawsuit, remember Kairos? He had all the guys, Demolition, all the guys in the concussion lawsuit.
Yeah.
Well, Billy Jack Haynes, he was listed as like the top guy in that case. That probably didn't make that case look too savvy. You know what I mean? Didn't make it look too
Right.
good if he's the top guy in the case. I'm guessing.
Well, Kairos was calling everybody,
Yeah.
and uh, there was just no way he was going to win because guys who had been wrestling for years before they got to WWE are now claiming they had concussion injuries and things like that. So that just they lost me there, with their credibility. So uh, we were willing to take that risk before, and then all of a sudden now you're going to have concussion injuries and make this big lawsuit. It was just so obvious they were trying to get money.
And the thing is too, let's just say Billy Jack Haynes has a 15, 16 year career. Only two of it we were saying was in WWE. So
Right,
the other 14 years didn't cause any issues. So not good.
right. So that just didn't make anybody look good. I thought no wonder they lost.
Is it possible that Billy Jack Haynes will be charged with a lesser offense than first degree murder because he has dementia? His wife's condition could also be a mitigating factor in sentencing. Do you agree with that?
Possibility. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously. So, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, it might have been a mercy killing. He might have looked at it as that and saying, "Hey, man, uh, I've got to check out of the hospital, take care of my wife because there's nobody there to take care of her except him. And if he couldn't take care of her, well, why not do the next thing he thought of? I don't know.
Did you ever hear of him before he got into wrestling getting charged with manslaughter? Had you ever heard that? Because that was a rumor out there for a long time. Like before
No.
he got in the business, he was like a murdered somebody.
Oh, really? No, I never heard that one either. So,
And then even in the business, years later, he admits, "Oh, I was working for the Clintons, the bodyguard. I was killing people for the." Like he always kind of incriminated himself with these.
Right,
these
because I think if you say you kill somebody, there's no statute of limitations on murder. I think, right?
I wouldn't think so. I would
Yeah,
hope
I don't
not.
think there is. So, yeah, he'd be in some trouble.
He also mentioned he slapped Big John Studd for not selling his move. Is that common for wrestlers to do in the locker room after a match? Thank you.
Well, it was common. It used to be common, but most of the guys would sell the moves. But if there wasn't, then there had to be some problems. So yeah, it used to be common.
Did he work pretty stiff?
I never worked against Billy, so I don't know, but I would imagine he could work stiff.
To me, if he slapped Big John Studd, I would have a feeling that Big John Studd might have a problem with that and probably slap him back. That
Well,
would
I
be
would
my
think so
guess.
too. So there might have been an issue. There might have been a confrontation, but it's nothing that I heard about.
Billy Jack Haynes claimed that Sid promised him to get him a job with WWF in 1992, but Sid wasn't in a position to guarantee that the WWF would sign Billy Jack. What do you think about that?
Well, I think if Sid had anything to do with it, Sid would plug a guy like Billy Jack, so Sid would have somebody to work with and somebody who looked the part. So I mean, that wouldn't. That's not too preposterous to believe that Sid might have dropped Billy Jack's name because he wanted somebody to work with.
Sid. He claimed he was supposed to wrestle Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3, but Steamboat had more clout. Do you believe that one?
Well, I think Savage, if Savage probably wanted to work with Steamboat because it was Steamboat, so I could believe that more so than Billy Jack was supposed to.
Now, call me crazy here, but leading up to the show, many months in advance, Hercules and Billy Jack Haynes had a feud going in.
Right,
So they're
right,
building up to this big match at WrestleMania. Steamboat and Savage had a built-in feud. He did,
yeah,
broke his throat or injured his throat. All like so that was leading up to this. And then if you watch the TV shows like Wrestling Challenge, Savage beat Billy Jack Haynes in like a 6-minute match for the Intercontinental title. So
right.
then that all this stuff adding up doesn't add up to Savage versus Billy Jack Haynes WrestleMania 3. Like none of that would even make sense. It all was building up for Hercules against Billy Jack and Savage and Steamboat. Savage beat him twice on TV already. Why would he wrestle him at WrestleMania?
Well, in Billy's mind, maybe later on he thought that was what was supposed to happen, and just forget about Herc. I don't know, man. So Billy probably well, no, Billy did have a skewered view of what was supposed to happen.
And the thing is too, it's like Billy, come on. I mean, people can like look it up or they can remember, they can watch and see like you lost to Savage on TV a couple times. Why why would that be the Mania match? Like
Right,
doesn't really jive.
right. Well, he was going through some times back then.
Also, though, Billy Jack, really didn't lose too much. I mean, Hercules and Macho Man, but besides that, he didn't really lose too much. I remember he had said that he didn't want to do jobs, and that's why he ended up leaving. And then if you really look, he was doing jobs with Ken Patera against Demolition. So it wasn't like he was losing to anybody that wasn't the top tier guy.
Yeah, but he was still doing jobs, and he probably didn't like it. So he just took his ball and went home.
You did wrestle him in USWA. I don't know if you remember this. He made a return to the wrestling in 1995. He's actually a USWA champion at one point. Do you remember his return to USWA?
I wish I could say yes, but I don't because I don't know that I worked with Billy Jack.
Apparently, here it's a Rage in the Cage
Ah,
14-man match. Bill Dundee, Billy Jack, Doug Gilbert, Jerry Lawler, PG 13, Tommy Rich defeated Buddy Landell, Gorgeous George 3, Pat Tanaka, Robert Gibson, the Heavenly Bodies, and Tracy Smothers. 7-on-7.
okay. They might have done something like that.
But that's the only two matches I could find, or well, and the other third one you mentioned before that you
Yeah.
guys were involved with together. So I guess not too much with you guys.
No, not too much at all. I mean, I knew Billy a little bit, and then, like I said, we were cordial. And when I saw him in Philadelphia, he was great.
ATF above the fold. Weren't there several other wrestlers who had to wear wigs due to their hair being blasted off by a punch from Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin? Can you confirm or deny this?
Yes, I can confirm that. Danny Davis had his hair knocked off thanks to the Hands of Stone, and Chuck Donovan also had his hair knocked off one time thanks to the Hands of Stone. Yes,
Oh,
Chick's
that's not
hair.
Chick Donovan. That's not Chick's real hair.
Well, now it is, but he had his
Oh,
hair knocked off. Yeah, I mean, came out of his scalp.
Chick Donovan's still in pretty good shape.
He's in great shape. Yeah.
He claimed he pummeled Barry in front of his dad, and Blackjack let it happen. And he said he's a big boy; he could take care of himself.
Well, and that had to be in Florida, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I've never heard that, but it could happen.
What's his match with Hercules at? Yes, WrestleMania 3. Yes, double count out for that one.
Yeah.
He mentioned he was a drug mule in the 1980s and made more money doing that than wrestling.
Okay. maybe he was, and maybe he did, but I don't know why he would say that.
Right? I mean, he incriminates himself like crazy
Pretty
with
much,
some of this
yeah.
stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. I was
Murder, manslaughter. I was a drug mule, Clinton's bodyguard, hitman, all this stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So he might have had dementia for a long time now.
He's Mitch, you're saying that's part of the boys on the track story that he was the drug mule during that whole thing.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it is.
Was his match with Hercules WrestleMania 3 the birth of the clotheslines match? Overall, they did about 100 clotheslines, give or take.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the clotheslines match is.
Just the excessive use of clotheslines, basically. They just.
Hmm. No, I don't think that was the birth of it, but I'm sure there's somebody before them.
Frank Nordquist, Billy Jack was upset about accidentally killing his guinea pig 3 weeks before the tragedy. Apparently, he overfed the guinea pig and it died.
Well, yeah, but is that any reason to anything could have happened to set him off? So maybe it did.
Never know if that fragile state of mind or something and that happened. It's
Yeah, no kidding.
ATF. All right, at this point, who do you think is more full of crap, Billy Jack Haynes or Hulk Hogan?
Woo. Well, I, honest to God, I have to say Billy Jack at this point.
I always have a feeling that Hulk is just working the marks, brother. You know what I mean?
That's all.
Right?
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't
And
he?
then people get all worked up, when he's like, I slammed Andre the Giant. 6 days later, he died. Like, then people get all
Right.
worked up. I think he's just working. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't he be?
From Johnny, Billy Jack opened up his own promotion, the OWF.
Oregon Wrestling Federation, I guess, huh?
That's
Is
my
that
guess.
it?
I don't remember ever really hearing too much about that.
Yeah, I didn't hear too much about it, but I knew he opened up his own promotion.
Would you love to work for a promotion with him at the helm?
No, I would not.
Bobby Heenan mentioned his head was the same shape as the hat when he took it off.
Well, he had a point, you know.
Johnny's saying yes, late '80s, Oregon Wrestling Federation.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
He left WWF basically, or according to him, he quit. By the way, was not fired. He quit.
Right.
But apparently, the other story, the other way around from some WWF people at the time was that they made him do the match. They made him job. They agreed that he could whatever they were going to agree to. Then when he came back, they fired him, and
That probably could have.
he didn't like it.
Yeah, that could have happened that way, and he just didn't like it. I mean, a lot of guys. I think Nathan Jones uh, was fed up with the travel, and he got back to. He's from Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
Yep.
got back to Australia and finally said, "No, he's not getting back on the plane to go back." He said, "To hell with it." He just couldn't take the travel. Couldn't take it.
Why didn't anyone want to go to Portland or the WWF go to Portland more often? Maybe because of Jack.
No, I just think Portland was a different kind of city. They had Don Owen for years. And he ran at this old converted bowling alley. It was the sports arena, I guess, not sportatorium, but sports arena. Portland Sports Arena was very famous, and I just think it was one of those places that had their niche audience, and they liked what they liked. And I don't know that WWE really drew. Maybe they did draw there. No, they drew in Seattle, but maybe they did draw in Portland. But I don't think it was because of Billy Jack.
Scorch is saying, speaking of Hulk Hogan, did you see the video of Nick Hogan's recent DUI? The Hulkster hobbled around with a long walking stick as he talked to the cops.
I did not see that.
Yeah, kind of a sad state of affairs for the Hulkster, looking kind of old. Although, in a more recent video, when he saved those people from the car wreck, he looked a
Yeah.
little bit in better shape, and he did have an NWO shirt on too. Oddly enough,
Well, that's cool. So at least
yeah,
you're getting around better.
yeah, it seems like it. He was saying, I guess, of course, finding Christ, of course, but like CBD and THC has really been helping him.
Well, good for him. As long as he's getting help.
Ibsen, what did Cornette or Del Rey think of Billy Jack Haynes? Did they ever have an opinion on him?
No, I don't believe we ever discussed him.
Did you ever discuss Wendy's or fast food?
No.
How did he come up with the executioner gimmick?
That I don't know. I have no idea.
I always thought it was weird that some WWF guys would go to WCW and they would use a mask, because wouldn't
Right.
you want to say like, "Hey, Hercules, we have Hercules," and instead of him being the super invader under the mask, you know what I mean? Like we had Billy Jack Haynes, he was in WWF for a few years.
Well,
Uh,
maybe they thought he was damaged goods. You never know.
oh, maybe.
You know, put him under something new.
Here's a random question here from Ibsen. On a lighter note, Cody will be main eventing WrestleMania. What do you think about that? Hunter is listening to his audience.
Well, I think it's a good thing because The Rock would have got booed right out of WrestleMania, I think. So, as long as you listen to your audience and you're finding out what they want to see, I go back to what Paul Bosch said. I like strawberries and I also like to go fishing. When I go fishing, I put worms on the hook because that's what worms like, or that's what fish like. So it's the same thing with the wrestling fans. If you're going to put on the biggest show of the year, you want to put on something they want to see. It's not what you want to see, but I'm sure there's still some people upset that Rock and Roman Reigns aren't going to wrestle. So you're not going to please everybody.
Now, do you think that's a part of the plan the whole time? Cody wins the Rumble, The Rock takes his place, and then all of a sudden Cody says this is bullshit and he wants his shot at Roman. Like almost that The Rock was going to be a heel kind of from the start. Did you ever get that sense?
Um, Honestly, no, I didn't. I got the sense that they weren't sure what was going to be happening with all the chaos happening in 1 week, and then I guess Seth got hurt, Punk got hurt, and they probably thought, well, this is the right thing to do, The Rock and Roman Reigns. And then they realized, and they heard the response, and they read the response, and are paying attention to what the audience, the real hardcore fans, want. So it's a good thing.
What do you think about maybe a three-way dance with Cody, The Rock, and Roman?
I don't think it'd be the same. I think it needs to be a one-on-one. That's
But
my
don't you think
opinion.
The Rock needs to wrestle?
Well, yeah, but I don't think it needs to be Roman Reigns. I don't know who he could wrestle though.
Yeah, there's nobody else big enough for him to wrestle, to be honest.
Now, did I read? Am I imagining this? Did I read that The Rock has a ring set up somewhere where he's getting back in shape to
Yeah.
wrestle?
Yep.
Okay, so he's
That's
got to fight
that's a
somebody.
big thing. Austin did that years ago. Undertaker did that. Yeah, these guys just get their own ring and they get in shape.
Yeah. Well, then he's got to find somebody to work with.
And Austin just recently did an interview with ESPN. He was talking about how, maybe one more match or something. And they mentioned CM Punk, they mentioned The Rock. So maybe Austin might get back in there one last time.
Maybe so. I mean, a lot of these guys, just like you said, get a ring and get back in shape and have that passion.
Seems like Billy Jack had some mental health issues these past few years. When does a wrestler know it's time to step aside?
Some don't know when. Um, I realized when it wasn't when I just realized, I can't do this anymore. I'm missing a step. I'm not as nimble as I once was. So I mean, some guys get it, some guys don't. Some guys never feel like they need to step down.
From Frank, the actor Tom Laughlin issued a cease and desist to stop Billy Jack Haynes from using the Billy Jack gimmick. Evidently, that didn't work because he kept using the gimmick.
Yeah, but I think he used Billy Jack Haynes. That's
Yeah,
how
he
he
just
used
added
it.
Haynes on it.
Yeah,
Yes. Yep.
yeah. So that yeah, that's how he could use it and keep using it.
Did you ever see the movie Billy Jack?
Does the Pope shit in the woods? Is the bear Catholic?
I think so.
That's a yes. Of course I
Nice.
did. Of
Okay. Nice. Okay.
course I
Cool.
saw Billy Jack.
I guess that's a good way around it. Hey, my last name is Haynes. Could be Billy
Yeah.
Jack Haynes instead of
Sure.
using just Billy Jack. Yeah.
Sure. Now you've seen Billy Jack, I'm sure. The
Yeah.
movie. Of course.
I love those old movies. Barbara saying the original Sheik might still be wrestling if he didn't die.
Yeah. Kevin Sullivan and I used to say, well, Kevin used to say it first, and I thought, well, maybe, we wanted to wrestle and be as old as Sheik. We get in the ring. And then I realized, no, I really don't. I really, really don't. This is, you know, I think most people understand and know when it's time to stop.
Yep. Even Luthez was trying to wrestle right into his 70s. He was trying
Yeah,
to have
Bob Armstrong wrestled into his 70s. Some guys can do that. You know, trying to think of some other guys um, wrestling in their 50s, 60s, and into their 70s. Just Ricky Morton's 67, 68 years old. He's still out there wrestling and stuff. But those are the guys who, far and few between.
when you look at Billy Jack Haynes, what do you think is the legacy? Like, how is he going to be remembered for all the crazy stuff, or is he going to remember for something positive, or what?
I think he's going to be remembered for the crazy stuff because that was where he really did make his most impression last few years. I think that's what people are going to pull up. The Nancy Grace promos talking about what he was talking about, the murders and the crazy stuff. I think that's what people are going to remember him for, especially if he goes away from murdering his wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time. Sting is about to retire at 65.
Yeah,
Yeah, coming up in March, Sting will be retiring at AEW Revolution.
right. But, again, he's 65 years old. He should retire.
Do you like his last match being a tag match with Darby Allin against the Young Bucks? Do you like that?
I'd rather see a tag than a singles with Sting.
You think
So I
that's the
guess
right partner and the right opponents?
well, I was going to say, I don't know if it's against the Bucks, but that's about what they got. So the Bucks will do everything for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, just made official tonight. It will be the Young Bucks.
Awesome. Good for them.
And it looks like Flair will be in the corner of Sting.
Well, good for him too, then.
Do you think Flair should turn on him one last time just for, good old sake?
No,
No.
no. Because then they might bring that match back.
Yeah, then they're going to want to wrestle. Yeah.
Yeah.
One wrestler who definitely should have stopped wrestling in his 70s was Gypsy Joe. The beating he took from New Jack was disturbing.
Right. Yeah. Joe was another guy who, wrestled late into his years and just couldn't get enough. So, yeah, I think he should have stopped. I agree 100%.
Mitch is saying he thought it would have been a singles match versus Christian. They were kind of building that up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's better with the tag.
I mean, he is 60 years old. I mean, I prefer singles,
65.
but 65. I don't know. Although he's he's crazy doing the bumps he takes and stuff and just coming off the
Yeah.
balcony. Crazy stuff from Sting.
Yeah. Exactly. So, that's when you want to make sure you're taking care of the guy.
Especially Sting. I mean, he's a huge legend in the business. You want to make sure that he definitely doesn't get hurt. But it seems
Yeah.
like he doesn't give a damn anymore.
Well, I think he does give a damn if he's going to feel it the next day. I think he will. So he doesn't want to feel hurt the next day.
Any motivation for you to want to get back out there?
Not a chance.
All right, fair enough. But let's
Yeah.
let's wrap this bad boy up and hit the plugs and talk about your book, Dr. Where can everybody get the book?
Well, everyone get that book at jpwrestlingacademy.com. Just click the training tab at the top of the page, and that'll come up. That's jpwrestlingacademy.com. It'll also give you the next training dates that we have and tell you all about JPWA.
What about an autographed copy of the book?
If you want an autograph copy, you need to email me at Gmail or JP Wrestling Academy at gmail.com. And we'll talk about an autograph copy.
Nice. Jason says, thank you, Dr. Tom. Good as always. Now, as far as the Hall of Fame, obviously, that would be when is it and where is it again?
That's July 18, 19, and 20 in Waterloo, Iowa. So I think there's it's the George Tragos Luthez Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Hall of Fame. Mitch is saying, be mine Valentine.
Valentine's Day. Mitch, I'm already spoken for. Thanks, so.
Do you think that Greg Valentine is going to have a great Valentine's Day?
I think he is. Every day is Valentine's Day for Greg.
Will he be able to advise young wrestlers and say, don't end up like Billy Jack Haynes?
Well, I can advise, but whether they take my advice or not is up to them.
Mitch is having a good old laugh there.
Very nice.
Because you are taken. Barbara is saying Dr. Tom for Hall of Fame, hopefully this year, meaning WWE Hall of Fame, not the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, but the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh, well, again, keep dreaming.
Mitch, great show, gentlemen. And then finally from Frank, one of the most terrifying matches I ever saw was when New Jack tased Vic Grimes and tossed his immobile body off the rafters through a bunch of tables. That was crazy as hell.
That was crazy. I saw that on video. Yeah, it was insane.
Barbara saying, so good to see both of you. Have a great week. Yes. Any Valentine's Day plans, Dr. Tom?
No, not at all.
Wow, nothing. You're not taking your wife out at all? Wow.
No, I'm not.
Damn. Not even this weekend.
Well, this weekend we got a birthday party to go to, so we'll take her there.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Jason
Yeah.
makes a good parting remark here as we're signing off. Says can't spell Valentine's Day without VD.
That's
Good
true.
point.
Very
Good
true.
point. But
Yes.
thank you everybody out there for listening. See you right back here next week for a little Take It to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. See you next week, folks.